G'day golfers. Ever found yourself redirecting blame and making excuses after having an absolute shocker on a golf course? I know that I have. Range was closed, I was a little cold, didn't warm up, I hit it in those 3 old divots. Then we have the podcast for you. We focus on how to fundamentally own your swing. Strike it pure and consistently shoot in the 70s. Be it if you're a weekend hack, retired and playing daily, a school phenom, or a tour professional. We present and discuss facts and physics pertaining to golf, trying to keep our ego and opinion at bay. We dispel myths such as keep your head down, bend your knees, or my all-time favourite, game improvement irons. So stop drinking that mythical Kool-Aid and have a sip of ours. I think you'll find it both inspiring and refreshing. I'm Scott Young, founder of Swing, PGA professional and ex-tour player. And together with physical therapist Dr. Sean Joyce, welcome to Pivot the Path. G'day golfers and good morning, SJ.
Morning, Scotty. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. Well, happy 4th of July to everybody as well.
Yes, happy 4th.
I like
Independence
being
Day.
in New York City on the 4th because, especially if you're out early in the morning, it's like a ghost town.
Yeah, we drove in, no traffic.
It's awesome. It just feels calm. Almost like
Calm,
COVID, but
yeah,
not
good
for a bad reason, you know?
Yeah, good
Although
word.
I'll
Calm.
be leaving this year on the 4th. But,
Now you've got a sick puppy. What happened there?
Got a hold of some cheeseburger.
Nice.
Yeah, it didn't sit
what
well.
sort of dog?
She's a cockapoo.
Cockapoo.
She looks like a little teddy bear.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
And she was just like, to tell us the story, you just mentioned it briefly. So the dog was sick and she knows to go to the bath?
Yeah. But it's kind of, you pop your head up and she recognizes you're awake and she's like, oh, I need help now. So she kind of pulled me to the bathroom and I was like, oh, you need to go out. And so there we go. That was my morning.
That was your morning.
Yeah, she'll be all right.
Good morning. Thanks, Flo, for getting SJ up.
Yep. It's my alarm clock today.
It is. It's quiet in the city. So Independence Day, it's quite a big holiday. What are you up to?
Huge here. We're going upstate to a little town called Hudson. It's really charming.
Yeah, very cool.
Very up and coming in the last few years, it sounds. A lot of city people, New York's have gone up.
Wait, do the clubs get in the mix?
They might just find their way in the trunk. I don't know.
You're awesome.
I always keep them around, you know.
Yeah, Marie, you are a patient lady. So that's awesome. I'm going to probably sneak out for a round with Bergie, and then we'll take the kids out and we'll probably play a couple of 9 holes.
Awesome. Well, they've been in here taking some swings,
yeah.
so hopefully, they start to see that pay off on course.
So last week we had all our tribe in, Izzy, Matilda, Teeny, and the little guy, Colt. Mm-hmm. And Colton looked all right?
He's taking some swings.
Coming from the inside.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's doing all right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool when they come in.
Yeah. He'll be ripping golf balls before he knows it.
And you're helping Tessie with a little bit of a shoulder niggle from rowing, which is settling down. She swam last night and said it was actually all right. So thank you, mate, for everything you've done with her.
Back in competition for the fall.
Yeah. So news from the fairways. We've had an interesting little week. Live Golf was not on.
Nope.
So that was LPGA. It was like a teams event.
Yeah.
Do you get into? I don't get into my teams event too much, but
I never do as much. Even with Liv in the team,
the
whole thing. I don't know. It's just so different from what we used to.
Clinky and clunky.
Yeah, a little bit.
And DP2, we had the Italian Open where a new young Belfast, Northern Ireland chap had a win. Tom McKibben, so young kid, 21, kind of fresh off the boat.
Cool.
Yeah, Belfast. So I presume he's a little guttural and a little tough.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he.
Interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
plans. I'd never heard of him, so
nice.
That's very cool. So he won the Italian Open there.
Yeah, cool. Well, maybe we'll keep an eye on for the
him.
next round of Olympics. Yeah, maybe it works.
Actually, yeah. So speaking of Olympics, who do we have? So the Aussies, we have. The Lee mum and dad. I don't know what they're putting in their water.
They make golfers.
They make golfers. So Mingwoo Lee and Minjee Lee.
Yeah.
Hannah Green also joining Minjee and obviously Jason Day.
Yeah.
Do you know how it's?
We're just Australian teams.
Quickly talked about this. I don't know how it's devised, but it must be per capita, I presume.
It must be. For instance,
in some way.
U.S. team has 4 golfers.
Yes, the U.S. Who does the U.S. have there?
We've got Scotty Scheffler, of course. We've got Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, and Colin Morikawa. So
pretty disappointed
from
that
1 to 7 in rankings. We got 1, 3, 5, 7 in terms of world rankings, which
but
strong,
no Bryson.
So here we go to the whole
live
official world golf rankings. You'd think Bryson should probably be on that team, but
absolutely.
He only gets world golf ranking points when he plays majors, and so
which he's come second, first,
still
or
ranked
fifth, second,
good,
first. Yeah,
but that's how it goes.
So that's a bit frustrating because we'd love to see a bit of Bryson action.
Yeah,
we've been following Minwoo Lee and Will, and sorry to say that last week Will had an issue or something.
Yeah, he withdrew. They said in the press release it was due to a back injury, but he told the reporter he felt a pop in his hip, so don't really know yet. Power
to you, mate. I hope you're all right. We'd love to help some of you guys train a little differently. We know we do some very, very systematic, functional rib cage down, stability, mobility in here that no one talks about. So,
but I hope
Will's all right.
Hopefully nothing major.
Hopefully nothing major.
But yeah, never what you want to see when someone's had injuries and then withdraws again.
And then Ming Wu, runner up.
And he was right there too.
So PGA Tour, for those who didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was a good tournament. So not the entire field in there, but
quite
still seeing some names we've seen a lot in the top of the leaderboard. So Akshay Bhatia was leading on the last day, and
his waist, he is literally this big, and he just rips it,
smokes the golf ball.
Yeah,
flexibility is amazing. But he unfortunately last hole, he was tied for the lead in 3-putt bogey.
Yeah. Very poor 3-putt, the poor guy, but he'll come back. One thing I loved about watching the Tigers and the Federers is that those great athletes always set the tone irrespective of the predicament or the position or if they've missed the cut. You never, and I keep saying this, week in, week out, you never know that these guys are out of contention because they play every shot on its merit, and I believe that's why.
Yeah.
So that they don't ever create the negative imagery that putt will have. Rory will have some demons from the US Open.
Yeah.
That putt, Akshay, will carry some weight going forward. And I think it was interesting that Cam Davis, and I don't know Cam at all, young Aussie, but I know Andrew Tschudin is caddy very well. Shout out Chuds. Chuds and I travel together. And Rosie knows Chuds. Rosie used to make us choc chip cookies on tour for all the boys in their bags. Chuds played on US Tour himself.
Yeah.
Played in some US Opens. I was on the golf course the hole ahead when Andrew this is Cam Davis's caddy, who played on US Tour, played in US Opens, and still wasn't quite good enough to, get his exemption for 10 years, and he was far better than I, and yet he wasn't good enough to be on full time. I mean, it's wild how good these guys have to be. I was on the green ahead when Andrew holed a par 4. It was like 350, 60 yards or whatever it was. Hole in one.
Oh.
Cam Davis's caddy can flat out play. Yeah. I mean, Andrew's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Andrew got me to go start work with Foley.
Really?
So Chuds was working with Foles, and then he said, hey, this young Canadian's just getting into teaching. Anyway, so shout out, Andrew, Chuds. We're so happy for you and Cam. I don't know Cam, but Chuds I've done a lot of time with. Just a wonderful human being. So Chuds, congrats, mate.
Yeah, he had a good weekend.
Yeah,
it was
a great
interesting
week.
Listening to the press release from Cam Davis, or just his interview right after his win, because he'd been kind of battling some demons and struggling with, where he's finishing in some tournaments and this and that, and then before you know
hypnosis.
Top of a leaderboard.
Which was my point. So someone like a Akshay and a Rory, look, I've never done. Have you ever done hypnosis therapy?
Nope.
It's got a lot of clinical conversation. Obviously, the smokers use it. Alcoholic Anonymous platform leverages it. I don't know much about it, so obviously you can't talk about it, but it strikes me as a very interesting. I would parallel it. I'm not a puncher in that it's a little bit off the beaten track, but it works.
Yeah.
So he put it down to his hypnotherapy, which I think was fascinating.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
I know Akshay too. There was a lot of talk of him working with the mental game and some people helping him with that, because confidence is always such a huge thing for golf. And I think even before now, he's won a couple of times and he was chasing his 3rd win down. He's proven himself that he can win. Now it's more of like, oh, disappointed he didn't win this one, but hopefully he just continues staying on course and pushing forward, because I think a great future ahead for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to be careful of those joints. A lot of stability. I mean, it just shows you, everyone goes on and social media is rife with strength this and strength that. And you're like, and I said to you the other day, at what point do we start loading Isabella with a shoulder and myself? And it's all stability, mobility, isn't it? I mean, there is a guy, Akshay, who clearly might not be able to bench press too much, but just rips it. You got to think if he's had back surgery, then there's a point of path of least resistance. You've got to look at the whole body, which is your bread and butter. So, mate, really wishing you well.
And, well, from there, I suppose
we get to our golf.
Yeah, we talk about our golf a little bit.
So we played Bally, which was in as good a tournament condition as I've ever played. The greens were like this.
Greens were perfect.
They were perfect.
Yeah. Really rolling pure, nice and fast.
How did you think you played? We both didn't set the world on fire.
No, some good, some bad. Not great off the tee, which especially there, it can be pretty challenging.
Yeah,
if you don't find fairways.
Yeah, your driver usually hit that very well.
So the holes where I was in the fairway went pretty well.
Yeah, played well. Did 3, 4 birdies.
Couple, yeah, 3.
Yeah, solid.
Well, greens roll like that. If you put a good putt on it,
the greens
got a chance. Yeah.
Where do you think we're at? We always get each other on video and talk about it. And you said an interesting thing when walking down that par 3. I said, what do you think about looking at video during a round? I really like looking at video. I'm a chap who, for whatever reason, can look at most sports and do it straight away. Not obviously at a great level, but if I've never played a sport, my brain just can figure stuff out how to do it. So I like watching a video in the mid-round, never getting too technical.
Yeah.
But it just allows me to go, oh, I'm X when I should be
this
Y.
is where I am.
This is where I am.
But I was just thinking, I mean, you're a golf professional, and I would love to know how many golf swings you've watched people and helped them with. So I think you're qualified to probably look at your own swing and video and maybe make an adjustment if you want. But I think for the average golfer, it may take them down a rabbit hole or a direction that they shouldn't go because they're not exactly quite sure what they're seeing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I was going to take all the videos away. So every sim here, 4 sims have 2 angles, side on, down the line, and then 4 sims just have down the line just because of where the columns are and whatnot. And a couple of months ago, I was going to take the video away just because we didn't, but just because I think most people subjectively look at video. The amount of times, and we watch it all day, guys hit balls, walk back and look at the video for about 3 or 4 minutes. Now, in my professional opinion, it's a waste of time. Math is objective, unemotional, and extremely factual and on point. And if you can understand what the math is telling you, we're about to do it with yours and my swing. Video is very subjective. So you always, and I do this myself, and I've got to catch myself, I always look at the same things in my video. So I'm always trying to take a step back and go, right, where do I want to be? For me personally, I've always got to get my golf shaft under my right elbow into impact. Sometimes I get on top of it. So when we played Friday, I was absolutely on top of it. So I was outside, well, I was coming from the inside, but my shoulders were spinning left through impact. So if we look at the target being 12 o'clock, we get a lot of our golfers to feel like their shoulders are facing kind of 1 o'clock at impact, which just returns their shoulders to where they were at address. We want your shoulders about 6 to 7 degrees open relative to target line. And it feels like they're pointing their shoulders at 1 o'clock if 12's the target.
Really exaggerated.
Really exaggerated, yeah. And I was definitely pointing my shoulders to 10 o'clock at impact, just a little bit open and causing myself to be on top of it and just hitting these little cuts, which is fine.
Yeah. But when you can see that in video and you're looking at one thing, then it's like, okay, I can try and keep shoulders a little bit more closed.
Yeah.
But I think you're qualified to do that.
But what about you? I mean, you what did you?
So I've got a couple things. I think you always, and this is, I think, first time you saw me swing a golf club, you told me this, and I'm still working on it because my tendency is to get away from this, but just getting into my right glute, loading into that. So for instance, in here, when I'm looking at the video camera, you gave me a little framework of where I set up. I'll draw a line on the screen. And I want to get to that line and then top of my backswing come an inch towards target from that. So like, that's really all I'm trying to look at. It's get into my right glute, for the most part, when I do that well, contact is good. I come from the inside, I hit a draw.
Yeah.
And now at least I've gone through the pitfalls of getting away from that, and I see what happens when it doesn't go well. I kind of know, all right, I got to get into my right side and just practice that a little bit.
Yeah, so when you stack that weight left, like I've studied and implemented a little bit of stack and tilt over the years, I find it fascinating. It's fundamentally horrendous for your lower back unless you've got internal rotation in that lead hip. But the actual method of stack and tilt for your wedges, 9-iron, 8-iron, actually has some mathematic principles that I love.
Yeah.
But you can't, very difficult, unless you've got insane left hip internal rotation, which at 70 degrees I do. So I can actually stack and tilt with 3 woods and drivers and get them in the air. But with you, we're just mindful that keeping that weight forward whilst you compress up to about a 8-iron, 7-iron, 6-iron, 5-iron, 3 would get a little
start to get a little more difficult to hit. So, but I noticed for me, it's a hard thing to feel when I'm swinging, especially full speed, like on course. So we put Scotty, he's in our group training, goes through it every week.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You said something interesting last week going through the workout when you're like, I have to close my eyes to feel the actual muscle. We were working on obliques. So why don't
you explain what we do? So we have quickly 4 or 5 stations?
Yeah, so we're going to have 6 stations every workout. The stations are paired in groups of 2, and you run like a little mini circuit in that group of 2 exercises. So you'll go do the one exercise, then you go over do the second exercise.
And how do you pair those
and you
generally?
go through that 3 rounds, and then after the 3 rounds, you do the next station. So it's kind of 3 stations, 6 sets at each. That's a workout.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's very good.
So you get your cardio in while you're just bouncing back and forth, no rest. But they're paired together depending on what we're focusing on. Sometimes it's all right, we're hitting glutes really heavy or there's a lot of load. Then the next exercise won't be heavy and a lot of load. It might be an upper body, a core, oblique, scapular stability, something like that. So the glutes can rest while you work something else, and then you can keep working the whole time. Other times, if load is a little bit less, we might be working on, hip stability here, and then we're working on, hip mobility on the next one. So,
and Sean is brilliant because you'll front load it in the start of the week where it's going to be a little more glute activation, rather than smashing the glutes on a Friday morning when everyone's going to go play golf Friday night or Saturday.
Yeah.
So you're very respectful.
We used to do Saturday morning workouts, and you want people to enjoy their golf afterwards, not be walking out jello leg and can't swing a golf club.
And that's what we do. So we were like, hey guys, give us some feedback. And some of the feedback was when we first did this a year ago was, a lot of the time you'd smash these golfers in their glutes because most people in Midtown New York City don't have a lot of glute stability. They'd walk out jello legs, and so they'd struggle playing golf. And so we listened and said, well, okay, let's front load this the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, smash the glutes, and then do a bit more mobility.
Yeah. So you lead into it feeling, loose and fresh, but not like you've decimated all
So what we thought was understanding that I didn't hit the ball. Actually, I putted really well. So that was, I putted a lot the last 2 weeks and putted some of the best I've putted in quite a while. And again, what you feel and what is real, I now know for the last 25 years, I've probably aimed right and just pulled my putts a little bit. And now I'm on blast every day. It still feels to me like I'm taking it. So on a 12, 14 foot putt, I'm inside 1 degree and I feel like I'm going down the line. And when people talked about Tiger inside and down the line with his putting stroke, I actually, to be brutally honest and frank, I never really got the math of that, but now I get it. So I'm inside 1.5 degrees on 12 feet, and then I'm going pretty well straight down the line through, which to me feels like I'm pushing it way
feel like
right.
You're way out away from you, but you've rolled the ball beautifully the last handful of times we've played.
But it still feels slightly inside to way to 2 o'clock if 12's the target, which is bizarre. Fascinating.
Yeah, and I think back to where we got on the tangent of group training, the reason I was bringing it up is you mentioned that you need to close your eyes to feel the muscle.
This is really cool.
And so I feel when I'm swinging, especially when I have a golf club in my hands, I don't feel, sense my right hip well, like getting into it. So I found with you, I kind of took a page out of your book. You told me stand in a mirror and just practice your backswing without a club, like you be in your kitchen doing it.
Yeah.
And try and get used to that sensation when you get to the right position. But I found when I close my eyes, like what you do, I can really start to sense and feel it more. And so that's something I'm starting to do every single day.
So what would you, with your history of sport and so forth, and a quick little backup, when we do group training, it's kind of we flip it from a golf point of view. I said to SJ, you've got such good both intellectual understanding of muscles and joints, and what's your tagline, which I love? Muscles respond to joint position. So when we do group training, a lot of the time it's very complex moves. From an outsider, they look basic, like, oh, we're just bending forward. But to bend forward, activating the glutes, not the lower back, for me personally, because I'm so anteriorly tilted and my knees are so knocked how I'm built, I've actually got to go through a little step process, which you do very because that's your job, but I actually can't do that quickly. So I've got to I literally close my eyes for the whole hour, and I am concentrating.
Just walking around here blind.
Yeah, but it's really important. I find it very difficult.
Yeah, and it's
but in a good way.
Interesting because it doesn't look that complicated sometimes, some of the movements, but to set up properly takes 3, 4, 5 steps.
Absolutely.
And if you miss a single one of those, then you're training your back to stay tight and rob you of good golf.
Yeah, so I close my eyes now, and we do 50-minute sessions so the golfers can hit the ground running before the market opens. And I'm mentally pretty solidly switched on. Like I'm concentrating. Sean did this exercise last week where we were doing a split reverse squat with a dumbbell. And I was like, dude, that's too complicated. You do it with such ease. And I'm like, well, I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So when talking about that, like even for me, this is how I work out myself personally, because I want to feel what everyone's doing. But I have to do something to connect the dots to my golf swing. It's not like you just get the reps in and your swing transforms. If your brain's used to a certain movement pattern, it'll still do that when you swing a golf club. So I'm finding, as you had coached me on, if I take some slow reps, eyes closed, and try and feel the position I'm trying to get into, it's helping carry on the work that I'm doing in the
should we hit some?
To my golf swing.
Yeah, let's go hit some. Our biomechanics, stability, mobility in here is really bang on. The group training, and I'm pretty fit, and we've got a lot of fit guys in here, professional lacrosse players and so forth. They are working hard. Like everyone in here, it's amazing how you don't need to run on a treadmill or go for a jog. They are absolutely sweating bullets.
Yeah, but the gym is splattered by the time we finish
that's
up.
right. All right, let's go hit some. Most of what we talked about for me, shall I go first?
Yeah.
Is the alignment. So I know that I have a predisposition to aim to the right.
Yeah.
And if I'm aiming to the right, then I'm going to pull my torso round to get the ball back online. So after about 6 holes, I'm like, I'm pissed off. I'm obviously aiming way right.
Yeah.
So then we just grab the driveway marker. And so as we walk forward, I put the driveway marker parallel. So this is going to be pointing slightly right of where I'm aiming. Therefore, my club face points at target line. Therefore, my feet are parallel left. So I've got 3 parallel train tracks, if you like. And then for me, after our alignment, after I put the rod down, I started playing a lot better golf shots. Yeah. So, and then when I'm in here at Swing, and this is why we thought we'd do this quick video. Since I was 18, I've practiced with towel under both arms, just because for me, it does 2 things. It forces me to what we call disassociate, and it forces me to really use my hips to start the ball to the right. If my pelvis turns and my shoulders move at the same rate, I'm going to hit little pull draws. So, I mean, as we always do, this is live. This isn't second takes. I'm going to come in and hit some balls, and I'm really going to watch my numbers. So I know that when you and I played, and you took the money too. SJ took my money on Friday, so I've got to do some practice and have a rebout. I was a little bit on top of it. So therefore, instead of my hips disassociating, coming from the inside, starting it right and drawing, I'd start the ball left. So as I have first swing of the day here, I'm looking for my numbers to be inside, 6 face 1 type of thing. I want to make sure for me that my shoulders feel and my right arm is under my left. Rather than my right elbow being on top of my left, I want my right elbow being under my left elbow. So again, towel on, take my stance. I know my alignment's pretty good. Okay, so I've come inside 4, face 5, face a little open. So I have another golf swing. And towel drill's pretty aggressive, but you can get there. I'm not going to look at video, right? I want to make sure that I can look at math. So that was inside 5, but all I'm going to do is come a lot more from the inside. All right, inside 6. Now we're starting to cook with gas. So what I'm doing is watching numbers to make sure I get a feel of where I'm at. And so I'm going to work on that for about an hour.
And you like to work on correcting the path first.
Always work path, big macro, then face.
And then adjust the face.
So you'll see that my face is a little open. Why is that? Well, if I've just played a round of golf and I'm hitting it towards the camera and my torso spinning, my club face is going to be moving left. As a good athlete, I'm going to naturally open that. Most people go to face first, whereas I'm going to get the path right. And once I get the path right, disassociate, hips leading, now I can work face. Always, always, always path first, face second.
Yeah.
Now, how about yourself?
So, I mean, like we said, this has been the tendency I get away from is loading into my right glute. And I think it also pairs with the other thing we talked about a lot on Friday was the tempo.
Yeah.
So when I kind of rush my backswing, it feels like to me, I don't allow myself enough time to load into my right hip. And then I end up just spinning out. I kind of come over the top and I get a weaker.
So this is where we practice differently, right? So I'm going to go straight to numbers, whereas SJ might actually use the static camera. So we're going to press camera here. And so he can actually watch himself in real time.
Yeah.
Getting back to you, closing your eyes, what would you do? How would you practice
So, I mean, now even if I have a club here and I'm not going to hit a ball here, I'll just go through. So if I close my eyes and really try and feel what's going on, I've got kind of my setup posture I'm quite used to. I'm thinking a couple things. So slow on the way back, face down, logo down as you always have me do. And then just get to the top and pause for a second. And I just feel my right hip coiling up. I can load into it. I've got some tension here in my left obliques.
And if you open your eyes and just look at the screen there, that's
magnificent. And if I look up, looks all right there.
Yeah, it looks really good. So use data points as you know to get you better for the motion you're trying to improve.
So then goal for me is then...
So if you do that, what does it feel like if you hit one?
Trying to think simple. So if I hit one, it feels really slow on the way back.
And probably like you're moving way off the ball.
And like I get way back here. Yeah,
like
love
that.
My club head feels really far from target.
Oh, love that.
So if I go slow...
We increase the length of the arc here. Load the right. All right, inside dude, Ferrari, anyone? Inside 1.3, face 1.4, really good. So, golfers, remember, work out what you need to work on to improve. For me, it's going to be math, improving my path, and the face will take care of itself.
Me, I'm just learning to feel this and really like ingrain that movement pattern. So,
love it.
And don't rush it. I have to be patient with myself.
Yeah, close your eyes. Stephen Ames is a guy I used to do a bit of practice with. Ames used to close his eyes and hit balls all the time. One of the best close eyes practicer ever.
Full swing. Actually hit the ball, close eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do the same thing even today. Great drill. Yeah, really good drill because it just takes away proprioception. So you've actually got to know where your club face is.
Yeah, and you have to feel it.
Actually, tangent, really good. Yeah, really good drill for everyone.
And it's something I do with people in the gym and even on the treatment table at early stages of fixing issues. Close your eyes. Try and feel one thing at a time. So I figure, well, why don't I take that to golf and
love it. All right. So you are 20. Actually, I haven't paid you yet. $20 up. Yeah. And we got a return bout in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
beauty golfers, look, thanks for listening to Pivot the Path. And remember, you can absolutely own your golf swing with the work you put into the game off the course.
Yep. So learn your tendencies, be focused when you practice, and happy 4th to everybody.
Happy 4th.
Safe travels and enjoy it. And we'll see you next week.
Safe travels, everyone.